Alright, good morning. So, today we're going to go over 5-color Indestructible. This one is, it's pretty funny. Most people don't like it. Has a lot of board wipes, but first I have to say, if you like the content, please like, comment, and subscribe. But we're going to go ahead and get on with the deck. So first off, for 1-drops, we have Shadow Spear, because I want to board wipe a lot, and I also don't want my opponents to be able to have creatures. So, we're really going to be using the permanent your opponent control, lose hexproof, and indestructible until end of turn. The bad part about this is it's going to take us a while to get a creature to stick on the board. Like, even though they're indestructible, it still takes a second. So, basically, once we do get a creature out that we can get to stay, we'll equip Shadow Spear, and then we'll get lifelink from that. So, yeah, everyone knows what Shadow Spear is. I'm not going to go over how it works, basically. Into the north for 1 and a green, search your library for a snow land card, put on the battlefield tab, then shuffle your library. This is really good since we search our library and put a card on the battlefield, so we can more than likely play this on turn 2 or turn 3, have an extra mana, get really close to playing one of the indestructible creatures or board wipe turn 3. Path of the World Tree, again, searches for land. The only bad part about this one is we don't get to put on the battlefield straight away, but whatever, that doesn't matter. As long as we have the land, because we have the basic in every color except for red. Red we don't necessarily need that bad. But regardless, we put this down, we get it, and then also, since we have Wooburg naturally in the deck, and also World Tree, we can use the ability to draw 2 cards if we need to, but this deck draws cards pretty well, so I'm not worried about that. Growth Spiral, green and a blue, draw a card, you put a land on the battlefield. Yeah, this one's good too. Most of our lands are tapped, so once we do get to green-blue, we will need to start drawing cards that way. We also have 2 other ways to draw cards, so I'm not necessarily worried about this per se, but regardless, it's still a good card. Gideon Blackblade, yeah, in here for the Indestructible, for 1, a white and a white, as long as it's your turn. Gideon Blackblade is a 4/4 human creature with Indestructible that's still a Planeswalker. Prevent all damage that would be dealt to Gideon Blackblade during your turn. So the reason I like this card is because it can exile a permanent eventually. Also, like I said, we have hard time with with life, so we're going to use Gideon to either give the creature lifelink, or depending on which creature it is, we'll give them vigilance. If it's out and Risen Reef is out, we can give Risen Reef Indestructible and then blow it up. Sometime Rishona isn't indestructible, so we can also use it for that too. Rishona for 1 red and a white. I like this card. It's a human shaman, a human samurai, 3/3 with haste. Whenever she deals combat damage to a player, if it doesn't have an indestructible counter on it, put an indestructible counter on it. And then whenever combat damage is dealt to you, remove an indestructible counter from Rishona. So, like it says, we're going to put this down as early as we can. We're going to swing. It gets indestructible until we get damage done to us. Now, with the amount of board wipes we have, pretty much what we're going to do is swing with her and then immediately board wipe if they don't block. If they do block and she dies, we'll board wipe anyway, so whatever. Risen Reef, 1, a green and a blue. Everyone knows what Risen Reef does. Really, it's in here for the draw and life, or excuse me, it's in here for the land that it can get, or it's also in here for the draw, really. Since we have 3 of them, if somehow we have all 3 of them out, it's a 1, 2, 3, that's 6. So 6 draw and then put a land on the battlefield. That can ramp us pretty good, especially since we have some 8 drops and 1 7-drop in here. So, okay, Grandmaster of Flowers. As long as Grandmaster of Flowers has 7 or more loyalty counters on him, he is a 7/7 Dragon God creature with flying and indestructible. So again, it's in here for the indestructible. For 2 a white and a white, could be better. It only has 3 loyalties, so that has me a little hesitant, but whatever, that doesn't matter as much. +1, target creature without first strike or double strike or vigilance can't attack or block until your next turn. So you'll use this on your opponent's creatures, obviously. You don't want to have to deal with it. Also, you can use it to keep Toski from having to attack. That doesn't really matter as much since Toski has Indestructible, but it could be relevant, and it has happened once or twice. So yeah, pretty interesting. Then the search your library and or graveyard for a card named Monk of the Open Hand. I don't have that card. I've never seen the card. I don't feel like using wild cards to make it, so that doesn't matter. But we can use it to shuffle our graveyard, or shuffle our library if we don't have anything that we can use that target on. Shadow Sky for 2 white and a white. Each player controls a creature with power 4 or greater draws a card, then destroy all creatures. We don't have many creatures that are 4 power or more, but regardless, we don't have many that don't have Indestructible. Only ones are Risen Reef. So this is good because it's a cheap board wipe. We can do it early. It's bad because it's 2 white, so that means we have to focus our ramp on getting 2 white early, and then this is also relevant for Kaya's Wrath and Begin Anew. But regardless, it's still good. Gideon Blackblade needs 2 white anyway, so we're probably going to be going for white early. That's a Deep Dwelling. So this is in here not necessarily for the Indestructible, but because it's a god. For 3 and a blue, you get a 6/5 god, and it's indestructible. As long as your devotion to blue is less than 5, Thassa isn't a creature. At the beginning of your end step, exile up to 1 other target creature you control, and return that card to the battlefield under your control. And then for 3 and a blue, tap another target creature. So that ability is what that is really in here for. We can also exile the Risen Reefs to get some more draws, but that's not really relevant per se. But since we have a lot, we don't have any creatures. We have 9 creatures, so our ability to attack is rather limited. So we would prefer to just be able to tap our opponent's stuff down when we swing. There's not enough devotion in this deck to make Thassa a creature, but we're not really worried about that. Really, we just want to tap stuff down. You could exchange it for